with their fourth quarter earnings as we move into the last leg of the earnings that we are seeing. We have Mahima joining in to tell us how these paint companies have compared in terms of the fourth quarter performance breakdown and to break down it for us. Mahima, over to you.
Right, so in terms of paint companies, three main companies have come out with their earnings with highest market shares, Berger Paints as well as Asian Paints, and we have Akzo Nobel also that came out with its earnings yesterday. Now in terms of how Q4 fared for all of these companies, Asian Paints completely missed in terms of its estimates. Berger Paints did beat its estimates, and Akzo Nobel numbers were largely in line with what the street was expecting. Now in terms of how the financial performance fared in terms of the overall revenue growth, Asian Paints saw a degrowth of 4.3% and a PAT degrowth of almost 45%. Berger Paints, on the other side, has seen a revenue growth of 7.3% and has also seen a market share gain of around 20% since FY22 as well, and a PAT growth of around 18%. Akzo Nobel, and this is in the decorative paint segment for Akzo Nobel, for Berger Paints. And Akzo Nobel has seen a revenue growth of around 9% and PAT growth has remained flat for this particular quarter. In terms of volume versus value growth, Asian Paints saw volume growth of around 2.1% and a value growth of 1.4%, whereas Berger Paints saw a significant volume growth of 7.4% and a value growth of 4%. In terms of the overall demand outlook, Asian Paints has said that demand to remain subdued in first half of FY26, whereas Berger Paints on the other side, the commentary indicates that demand will improve for them in the start of FY26 only for the decorative segments. In terms of the overall view, in terms of what they are saying in terms of market share, Asian Paints has been saying that competition is hitting them hard, and the competition is not just from the new entrants but also from already established players. They are losing market shares, and this is due to high competition, one thing, and higher urban penetration as well. But Berger Paints, as I mentioned earlier, also has witnessed market share gain, which was 18% in FY22, which has gone to almost 20% in FY25. In terms of the common takeaways that as to how paint companies have done in FY25 as well as this quarter, competition to tighten further in FY26 is something that the management has guided. Automotive segment growth has been ahead of decorative paints for most of these companies, and in terms of the overall demand outlook plus the value versus volume gap, that will narrow going ahead as well. And lastly, tax cuts, rate cuts and 8th pay commission to improve demand going in FY26. Now in terms of the valuations for these companies, well, paint companies were never cheap. Asian Paints right now, the trailing 12-month P stands at 60 times, which will go to around 44 times in 2027. For Berger Paints, slightly lower than Asian Paints at 54 times, which will go to around 46 times in 2027. And Akzo Nobel is the cheapest right now of all, which stands at around 37 times. Lastly, in terms of what analyst recommendations are, for Asian Paints there are around 22 sells and 6 buys. For Berger Paints around 11 sells and 8 buys, and for Akzo Nobel not a lot of analysts track this particular counter. So we have 1 buy and 1 hold. So this is the overall view as to how things have panned out for paint companies this particular financial year as well as quarter 4 FY25.
Well,